In this video, I'm going to show you how I make a pretty ombre effect on my cakes with buttercream icing. Hi, it's Karolyn. In this video, I want to show you how I make an ombre buttercream cake. So what I do, I first ice the cake and put it in the refrigerator, and then I'm going to add the buttercream ombre on top of the already iced cake. I will link my video below on how I make my icing and how I smooth the cake in buttercream icing, so you can see all that, because I don't really get into detail with that in this video. Did I say that right? Well, anyway, if you want to see how I ice this ombre buttercream on this cake, then just keep on watching. All right, so what I did, why am I talking so loud? I iced this cake in this green buttercream icing, and I put it in the refrigerator, and now I want to add the ombre effect. So I'm gonna go a light green to dark green to teal, which I already mixed up the buttercream. So I'm gonna start at the very bottom with the darkest color, so I'm gonna use this teal. And it's not mixed fully, so there's some color variation in here, which I like. So I'm just gonna start, I just took this cake out of the refrigerator, the icing is solid, and I'm going to start to ice this cake with a very thin layer of icing to get the ombre effect. It's really thin. It's got to be like an eighth of an inch thick, because there's already icing on this cake, so I don't want to make this ombre too thick. And I will take some icing off as I am smoothing it out. All right, now that I have the bottom part on, I'm going to go to the darker green, and I'm going to kind of overlap the green and the teal so I can kind of blend into each other. Now that I have the medium green, then I'm going to take the light green on the very top. Now when I do the top part, I'm going to let it come over the edge so I can get a crisp edge. I will show you what I mean. So icing the cake so the icing comes over the top of the cake. And then I'm going to take some of the lighter icing and bring it down to the darker green just to get some more ombre effect. And from here I'll take some of the darker green and bring it down into the teal. That way it all kind of blends together, or it fades together naturally. Now that's done, I'm going to take my bench scraper. I run it under hot water to heat up the metal, and this sucks because I'm right-handed and I need to do it this way, but I'm going to scrape the icing off. So I'm pressing the bench scraper against the cake to smooth out the icing. I will link my video on how I smooth buttercream cakes so you can see the whole process. Running it under water, wiping it, and then holding the bench scraper against the side of the cake perfectly straight up and down, turning the turntable to smooth out the icing, and keep repeating the process. And then once that is done, see, it's a pretty variation in the color. I am going to start the smoothing process so I can get rid of all of these imperfections. And that is all explained in my How I Ice a Smooth Buttercream Cake video, which I will link below. And the final step to refine this edge here, getting down on eye level, taking a spatula, pressing it straight back, and getting rid of the extra icing on the top. Rinsing the spatula off with water in between, wiping it dry, and pressing the icing back. And like I always do, I take a little bit of hot water on the spatula and spread it around on top of the cake to smooth out the icing. Trying to make sure that you don't get any water to drip down the sides, because it's a pain in the butt to try to smooth the icing on the sides if it's wet from water drips. So I do still want to smooth this out. There are still some little imperfections. Since this cake was taken out of the refrigerator and then iced with this thin ombre layer, the icing is a little sticky. So I'm gonna let this sit out on the countertop probably for about another half hour, and then I'm gonna smooth it with the paper method. And now this has been sitting out for like a half hour, so I'm just gonna take the paper and my fondant smoother against the cake and just press the fondant smoother against the side, moving it around the whole cake, just trying to smooth everything out. And once that's done, I'm just gonna take my spatula and refine the very top edge just to make sure it's perfect and even the whole way around. And the final step, I always wet a paper towel and wipe the cake board clean, making sure you don't mess up the icing on the cake. And there's your buttercream ombre. So here you go. Here is your cool ombre effect buttercream icing. The weirdest part about this is because I iced the cake and put it in the refrigerator and then add this effect, is that after you smooth it out the first time, you have to let it crust before you do the final smooth with the paper, because the icing will be too sticky just because the cake underneath is cold. I hope that makes sense. And like I said before, I will link my videos below on how I make my icing and how I ice my cakes. I don't know what to do with my hands when I talk. I always kind of like grab them, and I know I said this in another video, it's like all weird. Like, do I grab my hands? I can't just like stand like this, right? And like, I can't do like the politician thing. I don't know what to do with my hands. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? So anyway, I will just continue to grab my one hand with my other hand when I talk, because that's just how it is. I really can't think of anything else to say about this. If you have any questions, leave them below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And like always, please like this video if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and you want to see more videos like this. And you can follow me. I am on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and I have my website. I will link all of that below. I think that is it for now, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!